Hi guys, so we're going to do a couple of DIYs. The first one, you're going to be making a skull plaque like you see here. Now, I got this at, I got this plaque at Walmart. It was 97 cents. And then what I did was I bought this, Walmart has these new little like roses, and it's got a skull top. So I used the petals for a different DIY, but I had the skull head and then I cut it in half and I glued it to the board. So that's where we're at so far, and now we're going to paint it, and we're going to use, I just used whatever I had on hand, and I had a big giant tub of Waverly black chalk paint, and I have a little bit of gray in here and a little bit of white for some distressing. And then we're going to take some Dollar Tree mesh ribbon and we're going to make a bow tie for him. So, and there's a lot of glitter fallout from this, so be prepared for that. So right now what we're going to do is, because this is wood and it's extremely porous because it is raw, this will dry in a matter of minutes. So let me go grab a brush and then we will get started. There we go. Ouch! Stepped on a toy. That hurt really bad. So this is the first DIY we're going to do, and then we're going to do another one. We're going to cover this pumpkin in fabric, and we're going to take this off and we're going to poke a hole here, and then we're going to take a piece of wood and fabric and stick it in there, and then we're going to embellish her. But first we're going to start with this. So I just dip right in. And now that I'm thinking about this, put something down to protect your counter. I have a habit of ruining furniture, and because we live in base housing, it's worse when you ruin their counter, because then you have to pay to replace it and fix it. And so we're just going to get a little bit more, and we're just going to paint him. Right now I'm just painting around him and the board, if you can see that. Make sure you get your edges too. Let me just make sure you got your edges, just because I always tend to forget the edges, and then I'm looking at it from afar and I'm like, it doesn't look right. So I always like to get the edges first. Now, this will probably dry in a matter of a few minutes, maybe at the most 5, because it is so porous and I didn't use very much paint. So, now unfortunately, Mr. Skull here, he's definitely going to take a little while to dry just because he is plastic, and yeah. So now we are going to paint him, and he will paint up pretty quickly because he is plastic. So now, okay guys, this is what he should look like. Then we're going to go in and we're going to distress him a little bit, make him a little bit more prettier. So, in the meantime, while he is drying, we are going to do our pumpkin. Now, I am going to be buying a bunch of these and be doing DIYs with them, and I'm going to film them for the channel, so don't think you're missing out. But right now, what I'm going to do is, I have this fabric, and I bought it to make pillows. I I cut it up to make pillows, but ultimately never used it. And if you can see, this is a Harry Potter pattern. So let's put this somewhere so it doesn't get anything wet or paint on anything that shouldn't have paint on it. So I'm going to take this and we're going to cut it. Now see, this is a little bit short. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to just create a hole, just, you know, big enough to put your finger in, big enough to put your stem in. Oh, I should plug in my glue gun. I should do that. Let me do that really quick. I just bought a brand new glue gun because my old one just went kaput. And I went out and bought one yesterday, and it's a little bit different than I'm regularly using, so bear with me. Now, let me go get, see, I was not prepared for this. Okay. So, here we go. So, I'm going to use this really pretty Dollar Tree ribbon. So hopefully this looks good. Now that I'm looking at it together, it looks really cute. So now what we're going to do is you're going to try to lay your fabric out as flat as possible. And then you're going to take your pumpkin and you're going to sit it in the middle. Now, this pumpkin, and you're going to stick your fabric down inside the pumpkin. And that is what you're going to do. Now, there's a lot of excess fabric here. So I'm just going to cut it off. So it's out of the way so that I can stick this fabric down in this pumpkin. Now be careful not to put a giant hole inside of your pumpkin, because then your pumpkin's ruined. Now what I like to do is I like to close my scissors up and then stick it down in there so the fabric actually gets in there. Now I'm going to cut off quite a bit of this excess fabric, and we can use these for smaller pumpkins later on. I know that Joanna's is selling like really tiny styrofoam pumpkins that you can do crafts with, which I'm going over there this weekend, so I'm excited about that. So now that that fabric is cut, now we're just going to keep. Now your folds don't have to be perfect. Mine are not perfect. I don't mind that mine are not perfect. So, and I just stab my fabric in there. So I have quite a bit of fabric, and I'm thinking I might cut off quite a bit of this here. But you just, and be careful if you're going to do this project with your kids. You should do this part just because this is relatively dangerous for kids. But we're going to cut off this little bit here because we've got just a little bit too much fabric. So actually, I'm going to cut this here. I'm going to cut it off here, and we're going to just fold it up and, ew, don't do that. Don't lick your scissors. That's gross. And we're just going to jab it in there. Oh, there it goes. Now I do have a few pieces that are like sticking out. So like these, I will go back through and I'll kind of hot glue them down. But our pumpkin is now covered. Then we're going to take, if I knew, oh, don't look at my workstation. It's hideous. So now we're going to take, here we go. We're just going to I took this out of my backyard. And we're just gonna jab him down in there. You hear that? There you go. Now he's officially in there. Now I don't like how tall he is, so I'm gonna stick him down more. Like that. And you can either glue him in or not. I'm not gonna glue him in because he's in there pretty secure. Like, he's in there. So now we're going to make our bows and embellishments for the top. I'm thinking with this one I might just leave it with just a bow, but haven't decided yet. I might go later and add some more embellishments, and if I do, I will put them at the end of this video. So here we go. So I'm just taking probably maybe a foot or maybe just a little bit longer. You can get these at the Dollar Tree, and they're wire edged ribbons, which are really good. It's 9 feet per roll, which is a really good price for $1. I'll usually go and I'll pick up all of their new, like 3 or 4 of their new patterns. I have quite a bit from last year's patterns, and I will say this year there are like only 3 that I actually liked, and so I might be using some of last year's patterns. So if you're doing this DIY with me, this is a new pattern. You can go to the Dollar Tree to do this or not. So I do it like this, where I fold it over. Let's see if you can point you down a little bit. Oh no, you flipped. So I kind of fold it over and then fold it over again so that it's equal. And then what I'll do is I'll go in the back and I'll cut about halfway in. So like that. So this is what your back's going to look like. Now, I take a part of the ribbon, just like that. And what I like to do is cut the wire off the side. You can do this any way that you want to. This is how I do it. You can leave the ribbon on if you find it easier for you to work with. And then I just simply scrunch this piece, and then I wrap the wire around it like this, and I get it good and tight. Now, if you like the way this looks, you can just leave your bow like that. I do not. I like to finish my bows, so I will cut this extra piece off. Now, this piece that we left open, you're going to, not open, this piece you left after you made the other one. And you're going to cut it down so that all you have is the ribbon part. And then I'm going to lay it flat, and then I'm going to put my bow on it, but I want you to put your bow on it backwards. So the back of your bow is going to be sticking up when you do this. And I take it and I basically just tie it in a knot, and then I cut off the excess. And that is how I do my bows. You can do your bow any way that you like, any way that feels comfortable to you. This is just how I like to do my bows. And then, of course, at Christmas time, you know I like to do my giant funky bows. So, and this is a little bit more difficult when you have nails. So, I got my nails done for the spooky season, and I wanted them to do patterns on my nails, but they were closing. So, I'm going to do my own patterns. I went and I bought a little kit on Amazon, and I might do a video on it. I might not. Probably not. Most likely not. But then you want to fluff out your beautiful little bow. And there you go. You got yourself a little bow. Now, I'm going to bring you over here, and we are going to hot glue this bow on. So, let me set you up where you can see me do this. So, you're just going to take your hot glue and put quite a bit of dollop, really big dollop, and you're going to put your bow on. Be sure not to put your finger in the hot glue. So there you go. And then once it's dry, you can really fluff out your bow again. Now, I'm going to go through here, and I'm just going to glue down some of these pieces that are sticking up. Put another piece in here. So, just glue down the pieces that are sticking up. And this is a high temp glue gun, so yeah, I usually use low temp or medium temp, and this is a high temp glue gun, so I'm being extra careful because last year, during the Christmas season when I was doing all of my, I got hot glue on my nail, when I was doing all of my special projects, I ended up gluing my fingers, and I ended up having a really bad burn on this finger. So here it is, our beautiful little Harry Potter pumpkin, and I'm gonna put it here. I'll flip you, and this is another pumpkin that I made. I made it yesterday. I forgot to film it. I tend to do that. But I thought today I would make this pumpkin for you so you could see it. So, my bows aren't very fluffed. Let me sit you here. It's a very weird angle. And we're going to fluff our bows so that they look fluffed. Like that. There we go. There's one bow fluffed. And then our second bow, which I really love this pattern of ribbon that they have this year. It is so beautiful. Reminds me of like a Mackenzie Child or like a Harlequin pattern. Well, it is a Harlequin pattern, but there you go. So now we're going to go over here and we're going to just dress our skeleton man. So, sorry if these angles, I'm not very good at filming, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take, where's a piece of, here, I'll just use this. So, it's got a hole in it, but I don't need a whole lot. So we're just going to take a little bit of this cream Waverly. It's in the color Ivory. We're just going to take a tad bit. Just a little bit. Because we're only distressing, so we don't need a whole lot. That is the perfect amount right there. So, just a little dollop, I like to say. And then we're going to take a little bit of the black and put it together. And it's going to make like a really pretty gray. But it is going to get on the counter. So I'm going to use this so that if it does leak, it doesn't get all over my counter. Because as I said before, I live in base housing and it would not be good. Okay, so now we're going to take one of our really tiny brushes, and they're in the bottom of this giant bucket of craft stuff. I don't have a craft room anymore, so when we moved here to San Diego, I had to forfeit, so I had to pull a lot of my stuff out. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your gray and you're going to honestly do it like a dry brush. You can see it. You're just going to dry brush your gray on there so it just looks a little bit decrepit, just a tad. And if you get too much in one spot, just go back over it. So our skeleton face is 90% dry, so I think I'm confident enough that I can. And I know you can't see it, and I'm going to show it to you in a little bit, but this is actually turning out really cool. So that DIY I was telling you guys about that I was going to do if I could figure it out. I figured it out, but I screwed it up so bad, I decided to get rid of the video, and I'm going to build it again, but I'm going to use hot glue. They told me to use E6000 glue because you wanted it to last. But, yeah, E6000 didn't work out. So, I mean, it did, but my haunted house, which is what I was making, is now wonky. So I'm going to make it again, and hopefully it turns out better than it did this time. So now we're going to distress his head. Do a little bit of distressing, not too much, just because I want him to look decrepit. I usually will distress with a little bit of red, but alas, I am out of red paint. So, okay. There you go. He's very spooky and distressed. Now, let him dry a little bit longer. Now we're going to make a little bow for him out of our golden glittered spiderweb mesh. So you're just going to take your scissors and you're just going to cut just like that. Yeah, just like that. So save that for another project. Now I'm going to just take this little bit of wire from that other project and I'm going to put this together. Okay, I have a question. Is there anybody here on my channel that is from California? And can you explain these rolling blackouts? Because I am so confused by them. I really am. Okay, so now I'm just going to shape his bow tie. I'm just going to shape it like that. That's perfect. Now, he has a little bow tie. So now we're going to go back over here and we are going to glue on Sir's bow tie. So, can you see him? I hope you can. Why did the light get low on this? Okay. Okay, let me see if I can tilt you down just a smidge. There we go. Okay. Now, put a little dab of glue. Just a little one. And boom. Just like that. Boom, bam, baby. Our man is done. Isn't he cute? So cute. All right, guys. Well, that is my... Ow! another toy. That is my video for the day. I hope you enjoyed making the pumpkin with me and making our little man here. I might embellish him just a little bit more, and I'll show you when I do my full Halloween house tour. I got rid of a lot of stuff when we moved just because it was easier. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.